Sunita, so before you were talking about the reset method. So, and how you're helping people as a consciousness coach using one of this method, which is called reset. So can you tell us a bit more about it, so that we can know? Yeah.
Perfect. So it's a 5-step process, and it's R.E.S.E.T, and it's an acronym for each of the steps there. So the first step here is R. Recognize that you're doing certain things. It's more on the aspect of being aware. Sometimes we are continuously doing certain thing and we are not even aware of what's happening. But then you step back for a while. Oh, I'm actually doing this. Like, honesty, with some honesty. Oh, I actually felt negative towards that person, or I actually behaved this way. It's just stepping back from completely identifying yourself with what is happening to taking a little bit distance from what is happening and then looking at it from a second person's point of view. You just recognize, you just notice it. Oh, this is happening. I behave this way. Oh, that's all. It's just that one moment. So the first step is just to recognize that this is happening. Like you're in a deep suffering. Like we can take an example of something like for whatever reason, there's a relationship issue that's happening. Oh, I behave this way. Right? That's the first step, just being aware, just being conscious of what's happening. And if you just do this step, lot of times, 50% of your suffering just goes. Like this is the biggest, this is what is talked about in almost all cultures, right? Just be aware. You are awareness. You're just being conscious about things, right? That's the first step. The second step is, go ahead.
So is the first step like the deep acceptance step, where you accept what things that are going? No, it's recognizing that it's happening, just like the fine line.
Correct. It's just, yeah. Okay. So let's say I'm having anxiety, right? Oh, I'm having anxiety. Something is happening to me. Instead of just being there, just know that you can actually take a little bit distance from the anxiety and look at the anxiety. Oh, anxiety is happening to me. I am not anxious. My identity is not being anxious. What's happening is I'm having an experience of anxiety. I'm just having anxiety attack, or I'm just having panic attack. I'm just feeling sad. I am not sad. I'm just feeling sad, right? So then what happens, Neha, is you separate out from what's happening to who you are. There's a distance that comes in. Simple act of awareness, right? If I tell you, Neha, look at the wall, right? You look at the wall, you're aware of the wall, right? And then I'll tell you, can you feel the sensations in your body, whatever is happening? You're aware of the sensations. You're angry, you're aware that you're angry. That's all. That's simple, very simple, right? And if people can begin to catch themselves in the act that this is happening, 50% of their suffering goes away, period. No questions asked, 50% goes away. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper into this method, the next step is experiencing. So now, if you take any experience that you have had, take the best of your experience where you're elated, joy, happy, and you thought the world is under your hands, and you take the deepest, lowest moments of your life. If you deconstruct any experience, all you will see is that experience is either made of a thought, an image that comes to you, an emotion that flows in your body, a sensation that happens either in different parts of your body, in your stomach or your legs, or shivering or shaking or so. And if you're more energetically connected, you can start feeling energetic sensations in your body. Any experience at the end of the day is just these 4 or 5 things. So when you're anxious or when you're depressed, now you know that you are not depression, you are just feeling depression. That's all. Now you go to the next step of, what do you experience when I go through depression? What happens when I go through anxiety? Oh, my stomach, there's an uneasiness in my stomach. My legs tremble. My thoughts continuously go on. I feel scared. I worry about the future. Like you see now, what's happening is you're deconstructing your experience into bite-sized chunks to see what they're actually made of, right? And then you're not completely caught in them. That's all. I'm not telling you to experience them. All I'm telling you is just notice what the experience is made of. Thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, energetic movements. That's all, right? That's again, if you're able to do this, quite a lot again starts falling away. You're not afraid. Now you're not afraid of your anxiety or depression. You know, it's just a feeling. It's just an experience that you're having, which will pass. Now the third step is self-acceptance, surrender. It's all, and it's called S because for me, it's a deep saying of yes to life, yes to your experience, yes to what's happening. And when I say yes to what's happening, the acceptance is not an external acceptance. Let's say if there is a woman who's being physically abused, I'm not saying just surrender and get abused or absolutely no. There is an internal acceptance that happens. It's like, yes, this is happening. I'm present in this moment. This is happening to me. And only when you say yes to whatever is happening, those experiences, you can actually take an action, what you need to do next. So you recognize you're having something, you're having anxiety. You see what the experience is made up of. Then this is the most difficult step, right? Like acceptance, self-acceptance, and surrendering to it. It's like, you know what? I will experience these feelings. I will go through those feelings. It's okay. I'm safe right now, and I'll experience those feelings. And now, in the mode of experiencing these feelings, I'm also a trauma support specialist. So there's a lot of question and answer section that happens here. So let's say for a high achiever, right? For a high achiever, I want to achieve this. The question is, what happens if you're not a high achiever? What happens? Right? Then you go to the deepest level of your core, and there are only 3 things that you don't accept about yourself or you fear. One is worthlessness, one is loneliness, and the other one is fear of death. Those are the 3 core things that you are made of, period. That's the deepest fear. So high achievers usually have a fear of being worthless. And that's why they'll do everything possible to not feel worthless. Loneliness, because they feel that they're not going to be accepted in the life, in the society, if they're not high achieving, right? They need to be recognized. They feel lonely otherwise because people are not going to talk about them or respect them or love them or so on. So in the acceptance path, it's about accepting that it's okay. If I'm worthless, that's okay. You don't have to go tell everybody that I'm worthless. It's just within you, I'm okay. If at this moment I'm feeling the sensations of being worthless, I'm okay to experience. You are not worthless or you're not worthful. It's just a feeling of worthlessness, right? If you think about it, it's just a feeling that all through our life, we just don't want to feel these feelings. These are called somatic way of dealing with your trauma. And I teach this. It's somatic is within the body, going through the body feelings and then experiencing them willingly and then transmuting. Michael Singer, I don't know if you've read about his book. It's called The Untethered Soul. He's a wonderful teacher who talks about the surrender technique, and all he talks about is the negative things that we have within ourselves. Don't express them, don't suppress them, but just transmute them. Convert from the expression of being worthlessness to release them. Just relax into it. And how do you relax? There is no other way than to go through the suffering to experience and release them. You cannot run away from them. You can't hide behind them. You can't go over them. You can't transcend them. spiritual circles, we think we are the no self, we are nothing, we are empty. So any of the human things that are happening is something that I don't even need to look at, because I've transcended everything. Yes, there are moments, there are consciousness where we transcend everything. However, you still have to live with your body, right? And now your body is holding on to these things, so you have to come back to the somatic level, your physiological level, and then start releasing them. You feel a feeling, and once you start feeling the feeling, right, you have to be open, you have to be vulnerable, and everything is just within you, it's not to the outside world, just within you. It's okay to experience those feelings. So that's the third step, which is saying yes to what's happening, surrendering, self-acceptance, whatever is happening within. Now the next R.E.S.E.T is engagement with life. It's not just about recognizing something is happening, it's experiencing and it's accepting what's happening and then transmuting those energies. Now, naturally, what happens when you start clearing all of these blocks within you, naturally what happens, there is something within you that wants to express, wants to engage with life in whatever way. You don't have to go and build a big company, billion-dollar company. It's just talking to somebody else, spending more time with your friends, spending more time with your partner or with your family, with your dog. It doesn't matter. You just engage. It's called embodied engagement, meaning you start engaging. The reason we need to engage back in life is because all the triggers for us are in life. We tend to go into cocoon when we are sad, right? We just want to stay, we don't want to. But then what expression or engagement forces us is to look at those trigger points, those areas wherein we get triggered, and all our, because see, these feelings are hidden, and for them to come into alive, for them to be alive, you need certain situations, right? Somebody can push the button. You might be all like, I'm relaxed and everything is good, but there's some incident that will happen, and then your buttons get pushed, right? So willingly go to the life, engage with life. You want to run a company, go run a company, see what's there. So this is like literally pushing you beyond your comfort zone without any unnecessary beliefs. I can do it, I cannot do it. No, absolutely no beliefs. And when you're in a state of completely no beliefs, what happens is naturally something within you, the deeper intelligence, the innate intelligence within you, starts coming into effect. And that's why I say engagement is so important. Engagement to expression of creativity, starting your company, whatever it is for you, do that. And then the final thing is the truth of you who are. So if you keep on doing the 4 steps, R-E-S-E, as much as possible, the truth begins to open up. You will see yourself. You will see how your mind operates. It's like, oh, it's just a thought. I don't have to believe the thought. It's just a commentary that's happening. Oh, it's just an emotion. Oh, it's just a feeling. And if I sit with the feeling just goes away. That's all. And then you will start seeing the truth within your own life. And then the truth begins to show up in all the external world too, as soon as things change within you with no beliefs. I don't want to put any positive belief here. It's just pure no belief. Then the truth begins. And then the truth of who you are as just simple consciousness will begin to flower by itself. There's not much we need to do. You'll start awakening to the life, to waking up to whatever is happening. It's a natural process, like the transparent self or the true self or the authentic self. That's the truth, which will eventually happen. That's my technique that I teach people. And I go deep into each of these categories and I work with them. But at a very high level, that's what I teach.
Okay, that's okay. I just love
Sure.
how when you said when someone is feeling anxiety or panic or depression, to just say I am not the anxiety, but I am feeling the anxiety. I love that because sometimes when we're in the moment and we're having a panic attack or an anxiety, we we feel that, okay, this is happening to me, or I'm going to be, something is going to happen to me. But like you said, it's just experiencing a feeling of it. Like the anxiety is not me. The depression is not me. It's the feeling of it. And the feeling, like you said, with the reset method, we can go through it through different stage. So at this part, really, I love that part. I'm going to try that whenever I feel, whatever I feel, the anxiety or anything, to just say, I am not the anxiety, but I am feeling the anxiety. So I'm recognizing that I'm feeling it, but it's not me. It's not going to be me in a couple of hours. It's not going to be me tomorrow. Yeah, so it's just in the moment, and still that moment is just a feeling. It's a thought. Yeah, I love that. Where did you found out this method? How? I'm curious.
So this is when I went through my own journey, and I told you how they started manifesting into physical symptoms. I went through fibromyalgia. I went through TMS syndrome. It's called the tension myoneural syndrome. I had severe insomnia. I had chronic pain, and I had chronic fatigue syndrome. So then I had to come up with a way. Then I started training with many teachers from the Eastern methodologies. I was with my teachers were from the Buddhist traditions, from Zen traditions, and from Advaita traditions. That's on the Eastern side. And on the Western side, I started working with, I'm also like a CBT practitioner, and I also use CBT methodologies, NLP methodologies on the Western side. And I'm always looking to bridge the gap between the Eastern and the Western. Either we completely fall into the Eastern methodologies and we don't know how to live the day-to-day life. Sometimes that happens. Or we are completely into the psychology and it's all about achieving and doing and success and mindset and so on. And then we forget about the core spirit aspect of us. So I wanted to create a technique. This is just my own technique. I came up with the acronym, and I came up with it, and I wanted something so that it stays with people. Did I reset myself? I'm having an anxiety attack. Did I reset? And reset also forces your body to just reset, right? Like, oh, it's happening. It's just reset. It's the old thing goes and the new thing comes in. It's just resetting yourself. That's all is needed. Every moment that happens, just reset yourself. And then when you just do reset, what happens is you go through these 5 techniques. And it can literally change your life. It changed my life. And I used the same technique to go through all of my issues, anxiety, panic attacks, whatever, all the things that I spoke about. I used the same technique, and all I needed to do was feel those, sit with them, say yes to it, and start engaging in life. And when I started doing the truth started. And of course, I did a lot of other practices of deep self-inquiry, self-realization practices, deep inquiry practices, meditations, all forms of meditations, and so on. So I also did that. But I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for people to start using this in their day-to-day life. We don't need to go through all of those things to follow this methodology. It's simple. And this will still give you the same benefits of whatever we did, whatever I have done probably for the last 15 years. You should be able to use this just now, like right now. Anybody should be able to do this.
Thank you for sharing this method.